Welcome into Kitchen Table Talk. Postpartum depression is something a lot of us mothers go through, but also dads do too, and we don't talk enough about them.
We really don't, which is why we want to chat about it for today's Kitchen Table Talk. So postpartum depression is a mental health condition following the 6 months after giving birth. And according to last year's annual review of clinical psychology, it's prevalent in 13 to 19% of women. But research by the National Library of Medicine in 2019 shows that 8 to 10% of fathers suffer from postpartum depression as well. Some of the symptoms of postpartum depression include changes in appetite, insomnia, agitation, loss of energy, and feelings of sadness, worthlessness, and hopelessness. So we have two dads joining us for Kitchen Table Talk today. 9 News reporter Evan Kruegel, thank you. You got one child, a 2-year-old, and former DBL host Jeff Schroeder, who also hosts the Together Mess podcast. Thank you for joining us.
With my wife, right, who went through that.
I know.
And I did not know, and Evan, I'd like to ask you, I didn't know what postpartum was when my wife was currently going through it. It took us a couple months to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page, right? I think there's so many things with becoming a parent you don't realize until you're in the midst of it. This is definitely one of those.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that percentage of 8 to 10% dads, that's really, they say, highly underdiagnosed because a lot of men think they can just tough it out.
Sure.
So do you feel like during when, the 6 months after, whether it was with Lawson and Layton, after your wife gave birth, that either of you had any sort of depression, any of that?
Well, this happened with our first child, who's now 7, about to turn 8 next month. And I was so sleep deprived just because my wife was going through that, and I didn't know what was going on. Do you want this kid? I didn't know. And I definitely had sympathy pains, which I don't know if people believe in that or not, but I was mirroring her emotions at the time. But I was also the one staying up because she needed her rest. She had a C-section. There was a lot that was involved in it. And I mean, not to go too deep, we've been very open about this. And at one point, I remember we went home for the holidays, and it just came to a boiling point. I'm like, if you don't want to be in this marriage, or if you don't want this kid, you got to let me know now. And she goes, I want to kill myself. And it was like a light switch. I'm like, we need to get you help. That's, in a nutshell, that's kind of our story.
You pushed her to get help.
Yeah,
Did you have anything similar?
Yeah, wow, certainly nothing like that. But I think it's interesting when I came in here today to talk about this, and my initial reaction was, no, I didn't have that. I didn't have any of that. And then you show that graphic, loss of sleep, loss of appetite, changes in those habits, all those things. It makes you start to wonder, how many people really are dealing with even just a tiny little bit of this and maybe don't even realize it at the time.
Right.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting, too, because we talk about not going diagnosed, you not even realizing maybe you were dealing with those symptoms, because it also happens in communities of color. It goes 50% undiagnosed, and people don't get help because you have that strength of you just have to deal with this in your community. You got so much else to deal with. So I appreciate just having the conversation and the recognition of, like, maybe there is something, because all the focus is on moms, right? I'm like, I just went through 24 hours of labor. You have a problem?
As it should be, right?
Go give me my water. Fill up my Stanley cup. So, it's seriously, to have those conversations, I think it just opens up the table.
And you're 4 months postpartum.
Yes.
You didn't have PPD with Ava, am I correct?
I did a little bit with
Okay.
Ava, but I haven't so much. But I think it just comes in terms with like relationships. It wasn't a great situation, in that relationship, and now I'm fully supported, and I have felt the difference in that.
What's interesting is she brought up support, because I was diagnosed with postpartum depression after Sophie and Miles. Now with Sophie, I had no idea what was going on. Like to Jordan, just like Jeff's wife, I did not want to harm baby, but that is a common symptom of some mothers having thoughts about harming the child. I wanted to harm myself. I wanted to just drive off the side of the road and do it in the least amount of way where my kids wouldn't be able to find me and I would not harm another person on the road. So that's what I kept fantasizing about. And for me, I got on treatment called Zoloft. Thank gosh I got help. My husband had no idea what was going on. He also urged me, this is not you, go get help. And then I felt such shame because I had this new baby and I should be happy and celebrating. And I got on Zoloft. Zoloft was a lifesaver, but you brought up that you're supported now. What I found out is a lot of people that end up getting postpartum depression is not only you could have like a clinical predisposition where maybe you already suffered from depression, but if you don't have support, if you don't have a village, so to speak, you're way more likely, I'm not a clinician, but based on my own research, you're way more likely to have postpartum depression because you don't have that support and you're doing it all by yourself. So just know treatment works, whether it's through talk therapy or through Zoloft. When Miles happened, I didn't think I'd get it again. Then all of a sudden, found myself in the basement, isolating, and I was like, oh my gosh, and then I immediately got back on my meds.
You brought up that word shame right there, right? And it just makes you wonder if those feelings are because this isn't talked about enough. And people get in this situation and feel that level of shame instead of feeling like, hey, I can openly express this to my friends and family.
You're right, Evan. If we can talk about it, people aren't going to be afraid to go get help, and they're not going to be ashamed of themselves. So that's what our goal was today, was to be able to talk about it and to destigmatize it and just know you are not alone out there. So please don't be afraid to get some help.
All right, thank you guys for being here and sharing your perspective with us. It's so important. And if you are experiencing any of these feelings, remember there is always help available. If you just dial 988, you can reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and they'll connect you with a counselor you can talk to.